vamos a estar traduciendo acá atrás. Jay no habla español, entonces voy a tratar de llevar la conversación con mi medianón inglés. Espero que me tengan un poco de paciencia. For me and for this summit, it's an honor to have you here. This is of all the talks this morning, they asked me which are the one that you're looking forward to, and we have plenty of people coming that have amazing careers, but this talk is special for me. I want to say these guys saved my life when I was a teenager, and I'm very emotional about the whole way leading up to this, and having you here for me is an honor. Following your career has been amazing, and welcome to Mexico, Jay.
Thank you. Thank you, Hector. And of course, I feel the same way. I don't know if Hector would have always said that about me. When I was coaching him in high school, I'm sure that, and he was probably glad that I did not know much Spanish, because he was probably saying some bad words about me under his breath because I was very hard on him. But I had the honor of coaching Hector. He went to high school, of course, at that time in my career, in 1994, but really knew him since about 92, 93 school year. And Hector, like I said, attended high school in the United States, and the school that he attended, which was an all-boys school, located in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, a school called St. Stanislaus, very prestigious school, by the way. Hector came there, and we of course had a lot of Latin American students. I got to know many, and I've said this for many years. I've really never encountered, and I'm certain that there are, but I've never really encountered on a personal level anyone from Mexico that wasn't just a super person. And I have great respect for not only this country but this culture and the way y'all's philosophy and the way you go about things. So I'll say this, I appreciate Hector's kind words, but I'm very honored to be here with you today, and hopefully whatever we can share will be beneficial to you. So thank y'all so much for having me here.
Coach, it's been a journey to Division I basketball. I mean, like we were just talking about, 1994, you were coaching an all-boys high school team in a little small town in Mississippi.
And we weren't real good.
I think we weren't good at all. Anyway, now Division I. How many Division I coaching jobs there are in the States?
They are give or take one or two, because a couple of schools are transitioning into Division I. There are about 352.
So you accomplished the feat from going from high school to Division I. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, for those of you that may or may not know, as Hector said, in basketball in the United States at the collegiate level is organized into 4 divisions. You have the NCAA, National Collegiate Athletic Association, which governs most of sports at the collegiate level, and there are 3 divisions within the NCAA. You have a Division I, of course, which is your highest division, Division II, and Division III, and of course the level of play is commiserate with the numbers, with 1 being the highest. And then there's also another organization called the NAIA, National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, which is pretty much comparable as far as the level of play in basketball to Division II. And it's usually comprised of a lot of smaller schools. My son, of course, my son, Luke, he played at one of those NAIA schools, Loyola University of New Orleans. So
I was a state champion in Mississippi at high school level, then junior college national champion, and then on. Yeah. Tell us a little bit that story coming up all the way from high school to college.
Yeah, I have a very non-traditional route, is what Hector is saying. I have a non-traditional route to Division I. Most Division I coaches played at the Division I level, and then as soon as they were finished with their eligibility at Division I, they generally would stay on in that program as a graduate assistant coach and get their master's degrees and so forth. All I ever wanted to do, I grew up the son of a coach. I grew up the son of a high school coach, and I saw the incredible impact that my father had on the young men that he coached. And so I have to give my father a lot of credit. He's still living. He's 87 years old, still very active. But he influenced my career, my philosophy of coaching a lot. And that is basically this, that there's a lot more to coaching than the X's and the O's, and meaning the tactics. Also, that I wanted to be the type of coach that I would want my own son to play for. And as Hector mentioned earlier, his of course feelings, and he's given me way too much credit, but I certainly feel the same way about him. I feel like, or I coached like, I wanted to coach like that my player was just like my son. And whether they were a very good player, a very poor player, I've tried to live that out on a daily basis. But back on my journey, I didn't have, when I graduated, well, let me just tell you this. My degree is in biology pre-medicine. And you wonder, like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing coaching basketball? I knew from the time that I was just a little fella in the second or third grade that I wanted to coach, because I wanted to be like my dad. And I would see constantly this stream of older men at that time. Of course, I'm in the second or third grade and growing, of seeing this stream of men always calling the house to visit with my dad, coming by the house, still referring to him as coach. And it just struck me how much impact that he must have had on these men at that time who were older in life, that he had coached, of course, back at the high school level back in the 60s, 1960s himself. So I never had this dream myself of being a Division I basketball coach. And I just simply wanted to coach basketball. I wanted to have an impact. When I graduated from college, one of the hardest, so the last thing that my dad wanted me to be was a coach. The last thing. I mean, to the point that it was very stressful on me to have to eventually tell him that I was going to coach. At the time, right when I graduated from college, because I was a pre-med major, I made my mind up inside of me that I didn't want to go to medical school. And I did talk to my dad to try to soften the blow, so to speak, of my decision. And I said, Dad, I'm just not real sure. I've been working hard, playing basketball, going to school. I'm not really quite ready to go to medical school yet. And I said, I think I'd like to take a year or so to kind of discern my path forward. And so I took a pharmaceutical job. I made more money in the short period of time. They gave me a car. I was like, y'all give me a car? They gave me an expense account, but they made the mistake and they could have, I went to, y'all may be familiar with a company called Merck. It was Merck Sharp and Dohme back in the late 80s. And had a great job. I had a great boss. I was doing very well in the job. And but I knew what I wanted to do, and I had to follow the passion that I had. Money was not an object. Of course, sometimes I regret that decision, but because I was doing well financially. But the company made the mistake in assigning my territory to the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and when they did that, of course. To bring everything into context, the athletic director at St. Stanislaus High School was a man named Jerry Spell. Jerry Spell happened to be one of those men that had played for my dad. And after I would go to work every day, they of course, Coach Spell, I'd known Coach for a long time. He would invite me over to watch him practice and so forth, and that just made it worse. Well, just before a school year started, I had been with a pharmaceutical company for 3 years, doing quite well in their eyes. But my heart was somewhere else. And their coach, Coach Jenin Hector, at the time was a severe diabetic, and he had to get out of the craziness of the coaching world, and because of his diabetes. And Brother Paul Montero, one of the brothers, Catholic brothers that ran that school, called me. I happened to be in Houston, Texas at the time doing some training. And this was for any of y'all are all young looking, but for any of you that are old as my age, you remember in the hotel rooms, it was before cell phones, you would come into your hotel room, they'd have the little red dot on your phone, and you'd have to call the front desk and they would give you messages. I had a message from Brother Paul Montero from St. Stanislaus. Of course, I have no idea what's going on. And this is, I think, why you have to be open and how the Lord leads you, to be honest with you, into your path. But Brother Paul had run me down, had called that hotel, asked me when I was going to be coming home, and he would like to speak with me. And now, again, keep in mind that I'd had a very good job. My dad, who is a very stern man, a typical basketball coach from his era. There were no black and white, very stern, very disciplined. There was really no discussion about what you were going to do. And he did not want me to go into coaching, because coaching at the high school level in the United States is very challenging, and you work 100 hours a week and you get paid about 5. And then if you go to a Catholic school, it's even less than that, because they'll squeeze every bit of money they can out of you. But anyway, Brother Paul calls me. He's a man that I have great respect for to this day. Asked me when I was going to get home. I told him in a couple of days. He said, "Can you come down here and meet with me?" And literally, when I went in to meet with him, he said, "Coach, I want to talk to you about. I've gotten to know you. I want to talk to you about starting a coaching career and coming to work at St. Stanislaus. Of course, we have an opening." And I said, "Well, how much, brother, does that job pay?" Of course, he told me, and it was literally like about a fifth of what I was making at the time. But I didn't care, and he said, "We want to offer you the basketball job," and I was going, "Yes, but we also need you to teach chemistry, and we need you to coach junior high baseball and junior high football at the same time," which of course makes it a 365-day-a-year job. And I was so happy that I got that job. Then I had to realize, I said, "Oh no, I'm gonna have to go tell my dad I'm giving that good job I have up." But I didn't have. My point is, I didn't have this dream that I had to coach Division I basketball. I took a different path. I just wanted to work with young men, be a positive impact on their lives, help them to be successful later on in life. If I could somehow impact that, I loved every minute of what I was doing. Worked hard. I look back now and go, gosh, I don't know how I was able to hold up, but I was young and highly motivated, passionate about what I was doing. And but again, I never had this, hey, I've got to coach Division I, and I just wanted to do the best job that I could. I stayed at that same school for 20 years. I had numerous opportunities to leave for college positions, assistant positions. I started out, by the way, as a head coach at the high school level, which was very odd at that time. But I took the position in high school, stayed there 20 years, and then we were able to build a very successful program, had a lot of great young men like Hector that I was able and honored to coach.
We were pretty bad.
Well, we were bad to start.
We were the first team.
We were bad when we started, but we weren't bad when you finished. I'll say that. And we became one of the top programs consistently in the state of Mississippi, which is where the school was located. After 20 years, I had an opportunity to go coach in junior college at Jones Junior College. And in a junior college, and if you're not familiar, would they be familiar with a junior college is? A junior college is a 2-year school, of course, just in between a high school